KiKi ARCHi was founded by Japanese architects Yoshihiko Seki and Saika Akiyoshi in 2013 and has set up offices in Tokyo, Beijing, and Shanghai, and has won many awards at their home base and abroad. Inspired by the word kiki, which in Japanese means a sense of appreciating things in different fields, the studio has grown to creating a design language that combines perceptual experiences, knowledge, and other intangible dimensions in space in sensible manner. And we're super glad today to be joined by Yoshi, one of the founders of KiKi ARCHi, and he will be sharing about the senses in architecture and more about their work. So thank you so much for being here.
Hello, I'm Yoshi. I'm founder of the KiKi ARCHi. And yeah, I born in Japan. I'm Japanese architect. Now I live based on the Beijing. Tell me about my background. After I graduate master degree in Japan, I worked for one of the firm in UK for 1 year, and after that I started working for Kengokuma for 8 years. And in that studio, I was mainly in charge of some Chinese project. 2013, I established my own office, and we had a project mainly in China, in Japan, and sometimes in US. Most of projects, but in China, project getting more and more. So we decided to move to China 2019. So now we based on Beijing and have some various kind of project here.
That's cool. Very excited to hear more about them. How would you describe your design approach and what inspired it?
For us, when we design, the inspiration is very important. Actually, we have many kind of projects. It's no matter what the scale it is, a big or small, large or small, and no matter what the function it is, we always get some inspiration and start the design from that inspiration. And the timing to get inspiration is also always different. Sometimes I get the inspiration when I visit a site first and get some through the context of the sites. And sometimes I get some inspiration when I talk to clients and hearing some requirements and get is and their lifestyle. So always different timing and different way. So the inspiration can be anything. Yeah. So and then once we start the design with that inspiration, but we will face many kind of problem. So we need to solve the problem at the same time. And then we will try to find some difference within our design or create some difference. So always try to connect our inspiration and some problem issue. And by the way to solve the problem, we will get our uniqueness of our design or difference.
Cool. So since the topic of today is the senses in architecture, and as architects, we must have all senses in designing. So what does it mean to have the right senses in architecture when designing to you?
For me, when I design, the most important thing is to design it's rational and reasonable or functional. So not to design too much. So as I told already, the point is always solve the problem with some reasonable way or simple way, and how the design is unique, how good design is always depends on the way to solve the problem. and the way to express it. So I think in that point makes our design always different from the others.
So does it have anything to do with Japanese influence or the culture that you're from?
Our design principle, there are some keywords, and to make difference is one of the most important keywords, and the hospitality of the design, and sequence I mean everything sequence, the time sequence or some out sequence of the outside inside, something like that. But so these keywords are actually all from Japanese culture, I think. Japan has the climate is very special, as everybody knows. There are 4 seasons, very nice. But in summer, it's very hot and humidity. And in the winter, it snow a lot and very cold. And also, Japanese was a agriculture country. So the traditional Japanese house is always kind of in part of nature, and it's very close to nature. Actually, Japanese really like nature, but on the other hand, really fear nature because of the typhoon or the snow. So the house is for people to live, but at the same time, it's shelter, protect the nature, protect the people, human from the nature. So the shape of the traditional Japanese house has a big roof and have a very deep eaves, and the floor is detached from the soil, and everything is after the consideration about nature. So this is very rational way. So the house itself don't have to be that big. As long as it's functionable, it's enough. And so in that condition, they always care about some detail and they make some all everything usable, good to use, and that makes the lifestyle very simple but very comfortable. Now, of course, lifestyle is changing a lot, but I think what is comfortable or what is good for the people to live is not change a lot. So when we design, we always think about the hospitality. I mean, how makes the people live there or use it feel comfortable. So the point is from the Japanese culture. And another thing is the sequence of the outside and the inside. For light issue is very important for our design. It's also in the same reason. I think it is from the Japanese culture.
That's amazing. One of the things I love so much about Japanese architecture is how they seem to really well thought out about everything. And everything has a reason for their being. So I think it all comes to from designing with a rationale and wanting to make it functional, essentially, right? I think having that sense is very important. So maybe you kind of touched upon this and you kind of answered this, but in what ways might those values, those principles, or like you said, sequencing or wanting to make good hospitality, create reflection or contemplation in people's lives?
If the people can feel the hospitality in the space or in the building which we design, it can make the people feel the difference from something they have seen before. The feeling different can give them some new sense of value and enrich their lifestyle or change a little bit their lifestyle. So I think that make the people happy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to put a word on like how an architecture is so great. And sometimes I just call it like a space that transcends, meaning like it has more than, because it's very intangible, you know, these feelings, you can't
Yeah,
really explain it. It has to come from everything together, orchestrated in such a way, maybe through sequencing, through light, through sound, all comes
yeah,
together to this added value.
yes.
Yeah. Would you then share with us one or two stories from completed projects that have successfully reflect that kind of approach and how it creates positive impacts to the environment or the people?
Okay, I can tell in the story with some very unique project. We designed a temple for Taoist, and it's in Zhejiang, China, the south part of Hangzhou. The name of the temple is Tong Bai Palace, and the palace has so many buildings on the mountain. And we designed one of the building. It's for the abbot of that temple. So that building, the name is Fanzhang. Fanzhang means abbot. So Fanzhang building is located in the top of the mountain. The rest of building is already built and all traditional Chinese style. What the client wants us to design is something different from the traditional style. But you know, the Taoist style is very important for the Chinese culture. So, and after we visit there, and I could feel very strong energy from Tao, and can feel the deep culture, some historical educational part from them. So the first inspiration is I want to design something empty by the abstract way, because I can feel that the Tao and can feel that the relationship with the God and the people. So I wanted to express the that relationship, and but it cannot express by anything, I think. So I call it empty. So what I wanted to design is empty there, and but so the way to express the empty is I tried to keep the traditional looking, but with some detail design, make it abstract. So since the building is located in the top of building, so the people who be there will come from the bottom of the mountain and go up and look up and can see the that Fanzang building. And when they look up and see the building, what they can see is only the roof, not the building itself. So they can feel the roof floating there. And after they get to that building and get into inside of the building, they will find the place in between the roof and the land that is empty. So we use very special but very rational way to express that empty. So they can feel that concept there. And but in the same time, it makes the environment of their the building, especially inside, makes very comfortable because the building of the building is for the Fanzhang, I mean airport. So that need to be very private. So it have to be hide from outside. But that place, I mean Zhejiang. Zhejiang is also very humidity place. So, but they didn't want to use some air condition or something. They wanted to use some traditional way to get the light, natural light. So that empty space make it possible. I try to separate the roof part and the structure underneath. And in that gap, we can get the light and natural ventilation windy, make it windy. So I mean that empty space is very rational. So the people live there can feel that empty, and at the same time, the adult that who live there can feel very comfortable. So in that point, this building is have both side abstract concept and technical engineering issue.
That's great. That sounds really great. That brings me to the last question, which is how do you see sensibility in design becoming a part of a sustainable approach in architecture?
Actually, when I design, I don't really intend to make it sustainable. Just design everything very carefully and conscientious. And as I told many times, make it rational, simple, and so just design how it should be like, and with some simple way, rational way is. I think it naturally becomes sustainable. In China, you know, feng shui. In China, so many clients really care about the feng shui, and the client, some of clients invite feng shui master to check our design if it's there is some problem or not from in terms of the feng shui. So, but the most of the case, they mainly care about layout. For example, the place of the door, window, and the water supply in the kitchen or something. And actually, our design, when we design, our layout is always satisfy their requirements. Actually, there is, of course, there is some exception, some extremes point. But feng shui, I think feng shui is very similar, well, almost same as what we call environment engineering today. So, I mean, Japanese traditional house, also Chinese house style. So from long time ago, they already what they designed already very sustainable because it is simple. So the condition is really clear. It depends on the where it is. So just know what the climate there and what it should be like. So all building in the age, so design with by the very rational way. So I think it is so can use so long time. So I think it's necessary become some sustainable and also comfortable space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love your honesty. And yeah, I think it, design is sustainably, it doesn't need to be all these complicated things. It doesn't have to be that complex. It's just it comes down to making what makes sense, right? Making what makes sense for the environment. You said feng shui is learning the flow of energy, the flow of the wind, orientation, layouts, and it's our design should not go against that, but it should be
Yeah, yeah.
going with it, because that's how an architecture can celebrate the environment around us and how it can enhance the environment even more. Designing something doesn't have to be bad for the environment, it can enhance it as well. So yeah, I love how our conversation today and our topic really reminds us about that, and love learning all about your projects and your approach. So thank you so much again, Yoshi, for sharing today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.